Hey guys, let's talk about something super important real fast, and that is something that we need almost as much as we need air to survive. And if you guessed it already, you already know that's money. So, why are we going to talk about money? I feel like most people confuse and don't understand some basic, very basic principles about money. And I think that I'm going to help shed some light on that. And I want you to know, first off, is that my thought processes, understanding, and relationship of money has changed drastically throughout the years. And now that I have more of it, I really have a better grasp on understanding it, how to leverage it, and how powerful it is. So let's start off with the broke mindset thought processes on money, and that is where I was majority of my life, right? My successes hasn't been to recent, so the majority of my life, I really didn't understand money, didn't understand how to leverage it, and didn't understand, what it should be used for. So first off, we're all looking to gain more money, obviously, right? Money gives us freedom, gets us the things we like, the nice food, the nice houses, the nice cars, whatever it is. But what happens a lot of times is people are so focused on the wrong things. So, for example, when I was younger, right, I would try to hold on to money as much as I can, right? So you're holding onto this money, thinking that you can't get more of it. And, that right there isn't really going to help you, right? Money in the bank, right? So money in the bank at like a traditional savings account, like it's not growing. The rate of inflation is actually higher. So your money's actually shrinking. It's like rats are eating your money and you don't even know it. So the money's actually shrinking. So that's not going to help you. Then the second thing is like the purchasing of things, like just being a consumer, right? I think one thing that I realized recently and like really like had this thought process on is everyone's trying to get you to buy something, right? Think about it. Everyone's trying to get you to buy something. I mean, one of the, Amazon, look at Amazon, right? You go on Amazon, they have all these things. And most of the time, you sit there and you buy stuff you don't need, right? Or you're like, you see a sale and you're like, oh, wow, there's sales. I should buy this stuff. It's discounted. It's a sale, right? Like literally you're being marketed to. It's all a trap, right? It's all something designed to take your money. So, I used to want to have, spend the money on a car that I could barely afford, spend the money on rent I could barely afford, furniture for my home, going out to eat, all these things that you spend money on. And realistically, like that's just money going away, right? That money's not coming back to you. It's going away. So there's keeping money in the bank account and that money's basically disappearing. Then there's spending money on things that you're giving money away and nothing's coming back. Then there's spending money on things that are going to help you make more money. And it's crazy because I deal with so many people, right? And what I've noticed is that's the hardest one for the average person to spend money on. For example, we have leads of people looking to buy insurance, right? For our insurance agents that sell insurance. And people think twice before making that investment. Right? They'll spend money on new shoes, on a dress, on a purse, on all these things that are guaranteed not to come back. Yet they won't spend it on something that it's possibly going to come back, right? Possibly, right? We're not going to say if you buy some leads, you're guaranteed to make sales. There's a skill process involved. You actually got to work the leads. There's some things that have to happen for that to happen and make sense. However, there's a chance, right? Courses, right? A course that's going to teach you how to earn more money, teach you about yourself, right? Again, something that people tend to not want to spend money on. So one thing that I started doing is I look at how I spend my money and where my money goes. And I look at it in different ways. So first off, there's money I'm investing. So I'm investing in different ways, right? So when you're investing money, you want to look at like what's the return, right? Real simple. You're investing money, right? So money in a savings account, you get like under 1% interest. In a traditional savings, some savings you might find a 4% interest rate. Treasury bills, you're going to be typically over 4% now. Stocks, right? Kind of could be a gamble up or down on stock, but the S&P averages maybe around 10% or something like that. The S&P 500. So you could expect that return. The difference with that is, for instance, if I put money in treasury bills, it's a guaranteed rate of return. So I know that money's basically liquid. I could take out anytime. When I invest in, let's say, the S&P 500, which I do as well with an indexed fund, I know that money might dip at some point. And if it dips, I have to leave it there, right? So a lot of times what people will do is they take the money out on the dip, which makes them lose the money, right? So you still own the same shares, so you want to hold that until it's would be a gain when you take out, not a loss, right? So looking at money, right? There's things I can spend that will help my health and my well-being, right? So investment in my health to me is very important because that's the most important thing, right? To me, I want to be around here as long as I can, but also be as healthy as I can, right? So there's lifespan, which is how long you live, and then there's health span, which is how long you're healthy, right? So what I want to do is I want to extend my health span as much as I can. So if something has to do with eating good food, right? So I don't skimp on eating good food. My supplements I don't skip on. My doctor, right? I see a longevity doctor. I get blood work quarterly, right? Those things are super important to me to increase my health span. And to me, that's super important, right? Now, sometimes that's not the focus at first, right? Sometimes it's an more expensive thing, but you want to look at that. But if you're gonna go out and eat all the time, well, you're definitely not eating nutritious food, right? It's almost impossible to eat nutritious food when you go out and eat all the time. Well, then you want to take that money and repurpose it on your health, right? To increase your health span, because it'll probably be the same price or maybe less, right? So again, looking at that money there. Then the other bucket of money I look at is things I spend where I don't get any return on, right? Which there's a lot of things, right? Sneakers, clothes, going to the movies, vacation, stuff like that, right? So there's that there, which is going to be where I want to spend the least amount of money, right? That's the one that I want to hold on. And earlier on, before I had cash flow and income, like that's the one I don't want to spend anything on, because I need to use that money to find things to get me more money. So then the next thing is I look at investments, right? So I got some crypto investments, I got some stocks, I got some index funds, some different things that are going to give me a return, right? And I'm diversified with those, right? So I have different percentages in each thing, right? So that's where I like to put money, right? So for that one, I like to put a set amount of money every single week. Whatever it is I can afford. I don't care. At one point, it was $100 a week. $100 a week will go into something that will fall under like stocks, index fund, or crypto, right? Something that will give me a set return on my money. Then the next thing is real estate, right? So I own two pieces of real estate. One house that's paid for, that's an Airbnb. Then I own another house that I have a lot of equity in, that's also an Airbnb. And then I have a piece of land that I will be building a house in cash. And we'll get back to why am I building the house in cash. We'll get back to that one as well, right? So then that's another spot, right? Because this real estate will, again, give me it gives me a hard asset, which I like, right? A hard asset. And then two, it's going to give me some cash flow. Now, the next bucket of money I look at is like education, right? So I just recently signed up to go to the Tony Robbins event in California. $3,000, whatever their top ticket was. It was $3,000 plus going to California. Another $1,000 to get out there. Plus the hotel will probably be $1,000. So you're gonna have $5,000 before food and anything else that comes with that, right? For 4 days. So to me, that's super important because that's gonna help with my mindset. That's gonna help get me fired up. That's gonna help me learn some new information. But ultimately, when I go to this event, see, there's two main things for events. One is going to be the knowledge you get from it. Well, I guess three things, right? Motivation, you could do it, I could do this, getting pumped about that. But the one that's super important is the networking opportunity. Who do you meet at the event? So if you spend the money to go to the event, you want to find the person that's going to help you get back a return on that event, right? So not even counting the motivation and the knowledge, you find the person. So for me, I might find somebody who's looking to start a new business, somebody that, maybe their current way they're making money isn't doing that well, or it flatlined, or maybe it's dipping, or markets are changing, or AI's coming in. And it's going to completely change that person's business. So for me, I'm like looking for that person to connect with and possibly, help them build a virtual insurance agency of their own, right? That's what I specialize in, helping people build virtual insurance agencies. So that right there, if I could find one person, right? I got 4 days going to Tony Robbins. These are, people, right? I'm spending $3,000 on the ticket, the top ticket that they sell, to make sure that I'm sitting around other people that are willing to invest that kind of money themselves. So to me, that is a prime opportunity to meet some people that can their relationship can pay for that event itself, right? One person can do that. $3,000 is very simple to get back from an event, right? So that's why I think events are important. But I also think when you go to an event, you want to sit with the people that you want to connect with. If I'm sitting in the back at the cheapest ticket, right, that's the people I'm connected with, the people that could, that got to the event, but maybe don't have the extra funds to sit where they wanted to sit, right, where they have to think about the ticket they spend. So again, another bucket of money is education, courses, coaching, events, stuff like that, where I'm going to get knowledge. And then the last bucket of money, and this one, to me, is the most important one, right? And this one is for the business owners out there. If you're not a business owner, then this bucket of money might not matter to you. But it's investing in your own business. You see, investing in your own business will give you back the best return you've ever had on your money. So if you really look at any ultra wealthy person, right? They made their money from their own business, from investing in their own business. So how to invest in your business? Hire people, right? Hire people will help you create revenue. Revenue will help drive your business. What are other things? So also you want to look at, because what people do a lot of times is they spend money in their business that doesn't give them a return. So you want to look at your business and be like, all right, here's my business. Where do I get the best return on my dollar for my business? So again, if you're an insurance agent, I got a lot of insurance agents that follow me, and you're just getting started, your best return on your dollar is going to be leads. Hands down, it's going to be leads. Now, once you're doing this for a while, then probably the next best dollar you're going to spend is going to be finding agents to hire. Right? It's not going to be on getting a more powerful computer or getting a bigger computer screen or getting a better camera for when you're on Zoom or special lighting. It's not going to be these things, right? These things come afterwards. Once you have a legitimate business, then you start working on all those other things. But in the beginning, it's real simple, right? Spending money to find clients, spend money to hire staff. Those are the two things. So if you have a business, that's where you want to spend your money, and that's where you have the best return. So the next thing is, I talk about why do I have one house that's paid off, right? I have one house paid off. The other house that's not paid off, Why is that one not paid off and the one that is? Well, look at interest rates. Where are interest rates today? So the house that I have that's not paid off, my interest rate is 2.75%. So to me, that's close to free money. So that one, I keep my mortgage, I let everything ride like it is. So why am I building a house today cash? Well, today I'm building the house cash because the interest rates are 7, 8, 9%. So for me, if I'm paying that in interest, does it make sense to have money in treasury bills where I'm getting about 4.5, 5%, right? They cancel each other out. So I'm better off taking that 4.5, 5%, spending it to build a house where I'm saving 8% interest. So for me, that's almost like an 8% investment, right? So basically what I'm trying to tell you is when you have dollars, right? Look at all the dollars that you have. You might have $1,000 in the bank, $10,000 in the bank, or $100,000 in the bank. Whatever it is, or wherever this money's spread out. Could be in your sock drawer, could be could be anywhere, right? And you want to look and figure out where is the best place to like file this dollar, right? So one, going to buy a new purse or new shoes probably isn't the best place to put that dollar. So we gotta look at the best place to put this dollar. And it may be in education. It may be in real estate. It may be in stocks, treasury bills. It may be in crypto. And it may be in your own business. And what I do is I try to keep giving dollars to different places that pay me, right, to diversify. But that's different because that's where I'm now. But when I first started, right, when my cash flow wasn't that much, then it was simple. 80% or more if the dollars I made went right back into my business, right? So because I did that, my first year in business, I made over $200,000. My second full year, over $500. My third full year, over $700. My fourth full year, over $1 million. Right? And once I made $1 million, then it was about 50% went back into my business, which made $1.5 million the following year and continued to grow from there. Because I invested in, right? I took the dollar and I put it in the thing that was going to give me the most return. Even though it was uncomfortable, right? You want to save it in the bank because the bank's safe and you have it and you're ready for an emergency or whatever. But for me, I just wanted to increase my cash flow, keep increasing my cash flow. Once your cash flow is increased, right? And I think like 100K a month increased, that's when you start like, all right, now my cash flow's substantial. Now let me diversify these funds. Let me start putting some things in some different places so I can be more diversified. So a lot of times people want to diversify like from the get-go, or they want to try to, start 7 different businesses. Guys, I have multiple businesses now, but my one business is what made me a millionaire. And focusing on that one business is how I became a millionaire. If I try to start 7 businesses at one time from the get-go, there's no way in the world I would be where I'm at today. No way, right? If you look at millionaires, one business helped make them, then they diversified through multiple businesses. Very few people, if any, that I know of started multiple businesses at one time. Like, I feel like that is the exact game plan of how not to win, is by trying to do too many things at once. So, just little reback take on this. When you have a dollar, look at where's the best place to spend this. And if you're just struggling paycheck to paycheck, or your cash flow is not that much, or you don't have a business yet but you want a business, right? And you're still working a job, which is fine. Don't spend that money on things where it's not going to come back. Spend that money, if you don't have a business, spend that money on some education to learn how to create some more cash flow outside the job that you're working. Because remember, the job is only going to pay you so much. You can't 10x your job income. You can't 2x your job income. You can't. That's not going to happen. You're going to 0.05% x your job income. So take the money at that point and educate yourself, right? Spend your free time educating yourself, some books, some coaching, some classes, whatever it is, and try to figure out how you could create some different income, some different flow of income through a side business or something like that that's going to help you increase your cash flow. Once you figure that out, then you take that more money and you put it in there to keep increasing that cash flow. So hopefully it gets you out of that job if that's what you choose. And then now you just opened up 40 more hours a week of time to put into that business, which is like putting rocket fuel into your fire. So I hope you got something from today. If you did, or if you have questions, throw it in the comments. And remember, never settle.